problem F on the Codeforces today. This was the hardest problem that I solved today, and I think it was the coolest one too. So what's going on? So we have a duck. The duck is trying to go on some journey of n segments, from first to last, and each segment has a length and it has a type. It's grass, water, or lava. So the ducks can swim, walk, and fly. And he can switch between them, right? He can like change instantly or go back instantly. We'll see why you might want to go back later. So on the water, you can swim or fly, right? You can always fly, and you can swim on the water and you can walk on the grass. So flying takes 1 second, swimming takes 3 seconds, and walking takes 5 seconds. But flying also takes stamina. So if you swim and walk, you gain 1 stamina per meter. And when you fly, you spend 1 stamina per meter. And you start out with 0 stamina, and you're never allowed to go negative. So you want to traverse all the segments in as short a time as possible. And there's 100,000 segments, and each segment is super long. It's like 1 trillion meters long. So hopefully our duck is willing to go for a while. And right, so we just get the 100,000 segments and their lengths and their types. And we're supposed to print out the minimum amount of time. So what is the idea here? So my idea was a greedy solution. So let's start by saying that we're going to fly over all the terrain, which is what we would like to do. Unfortunately, we don't have enough stamina to do that. So we need to reclaim stamina. So the key idea here is that we're going to reclaim the cheapest stamina available so far. So right, imagine you have a water segment of L meters. So flying takes L seconds, costs L stamina. If we swam a meter instead of flying, it costs 3 seconds and saves 2 stamina. It costs 2 seconds and saves 2 stamina, because flying takes 1 second, swimming takes 3 seconds. So swimming is 2 seconds slower. But instead of spending a stamina on flying 1 meter, we gain a stamina by swimming 1 meter. So that is that. And also, you can do half a meter of swimming instead of flying, and then you save 1 stamina. So it's sort of all continuous here. We don't need to worry about some granularity effect. And the other thing is that we can swim in place. So this is why you might want to go backwards. And actually, they have a nice example of this, where the water is of length 1 and the lava is of length 2. So we need to swim back and forth in the water to sort of gain enough stamina to fly over the lava. So anyway, in addition to swimming instead of flying, you can also just swim in place. So it takes 3 seconds to swim a meter, sort of in place, which could just mean like back and forth half a meter. And you get 1 stamina that way. So those are the ways that we can reclaim water or stamina from a water segment. Similarly, suppose we have a grass segment of L meters. So flying takes L seconds and costs L stamina. And if we walk, let's just say a meter instead of flying, it costs 4 seconds and saves 2 stamina. Right, because it takes 5 seconds instead of 1 second, so that's a net of 4 lost, but we gain a stamina instead of losing a stamina, so that's a net of 2 stamina. And if we swim a meter in place, it costs 5 seconds and saves, walk a meter in place. 1 stamina. Right, so we can just walk around to generate stamina. And we have a lava segment of L meters. We must fly, and it takes L seconds and costs L stamina. Yeah, so the idea, again, is going to be, let's start with all flying, and then we need to reclaim, every time we see a new segment, we need to sort of reclaim that much stamina from the cheapest sources available. And because stamina sort of infinitely accumulates, we can regain it from any segment that we've seen so far. So I guess the last thing to say is there's only L meters to swim instead of fly here. So this is like when you would, if you run out of like sort of flying that you're doing over the water segment and you still want to save more stamina on the segment, then you have to swim in place. And similarly for walking, if you sort of run out of space to walk, then you have to, or if you run out of walking to do instead of flying, then you have to just walk in place. So to summarize the ways that we can save stamina, are swimming instead of flying, walking instead of flying, and then sort of swimming in place and walking in place. So let's look at the code. So we're going to read in the input and all of the lengths and also the string of types. So initially, we're saying that we're going to fly over everything. So that takes just the sum of the lengths time. This is some old code that didn't matter. We're going to need infinity, so let's just use something. So how big should an infinity be for this problem? Well, the total number of meters is up to 10 to the 17, so let's just do a little bit more than that. Okay, and we're going to keep this priority queue of the cheapest ways to gain stamina. So the priority queue is going to contain a pair of integers, right? A pair of integers, which is going to be the cost and also like how much stamina is available in that way. Because, you know, for each of the walking and flying segments, there's only so much flying to replace with swimming or walking. So go through each of the segments. If we have a grass segment, then we can save up to 2 times the length of this stamina at a cost of 2 seconds per stamina. This needs to be negative because priority queues grab the biggest thing instead of the smallest thing. So we can negate things to make, to grab the smallest, we want the cheapest cost. So we can negate things to grab the cheapest thing instead of the biggest thing. Okay, so we can save up to this much stamina at a cost of 2 seconds per stamina, and we can save as much stamina as we want at a cost of 5 seconds per stamina. And if we have a water, we can save up to 2 times length stamina at a cost of 1 second per stamina, and we can save as much as we want at a cost of 3 seconds per stamina. So now we're just going to go through and actually sort of reclaim that much stamina. So we want to save the length of this segment in stamina. Notice that we're going to end up at 0 stamina after each segment. So for each new segment, we're going to have to save its length and stamina. So while we actually still need to reclaim stamina, like grab the cheapest thing from the queue. So if that thing has enough sort of left to satisfy what we need, then just grab that amount from it. Otherwise, and we push back the remainder onto the priority queue, and otherwise grab the entire thing and sort of mark off that, you know, pay the cost and also that we reclaim that much. So yeah, once we're done going through all the segments, then we just print out whatever answer we got. So that's the problem. It's just greedy. I think my solution was a little bit nicer, actually, than the one in the editorial. They sort of started from not flying the whole way, but I think starting from flying the whole way really simplifies things. So yeah, that's the problem.